Five, four, three, two, one. Liftoff.
Hey, what's going on, family and friends? Happy hump day. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Ray Fuentes. Today in the crypto market cap is hovering around $2.3 trillion, looking similar to yesterday and the day before. Bitcoin remains flat on its 24-hour moving average, and XRP remains in the 8th spot, trailing just behind Circle stablecoin USDC, which leads me to a bullish and long-winded post made by Circle CEO Jeremy Allaire in regards to Circle's and its stablecoin USDC. In this long-winded post, I believe there's plenty of gold tucked away, so I recommend that you give it a look. And let me find the quote that left a great impression on me, made by this Circle CEO, Jeremy Allaire. He mentions that stablecoins are becoming a legally defined and accepted form of digital money in nearly every major jurisdiction in the world. By the end of 2025, so by the end of next year, stablecoins will be legal electronic money almost everywhere, which sets them up to become a larger and larger portion of the $100 trillion market for electronic money. So this is just the beginning for Circle, just like the CEO stated. They're still in the early stages, which is very bullish signals for the company. Circle is legally known as Circle Internet Financial Limited, the peer-to-peer payments technology company that manages the stablecoin USDC that I mentioned. USDC is backed by the equivalent value of US dollar-denominated assets held as reserves for the benefit of all of us USD holders. The cash is held at regulated financial institutions, and the portfolio of the Circle Reserve Fund, which can contain short-dated US Treasuries, overnight U.S. Treasury repurchase agreements, and cash, which are custodied at the Bank of New York Mellon, the largest custodian bank in the world. So, and then the assets themselves are also managed by BlackRock. So these are the types of institutions that Circle has on its team or on its deep bench, and it only signals one direction that the company is moving, and that is up and to the right. In the limelight is ConsenSys. People are struggling to comprehend the recent news that the SEC is dropping its case with the company ConsenSys. The SEC closed its investigation into Ethereum 2.0, which ConsenSys was the creator of, confirming that ETH is not a security and would ultimately face no charges. This decision, I believe, is obviously a win for Ethereum developers and businesses that are building on the ETH network, and it provides much, I guess you could say, much needed clarity and paves the way for further innovation and adoption in the Ethereum ecosystem. Now, many of us may not agree with those decisions made, but regardless, I think, it's understandable. I want to highlight a comment or post made by Fred Rispoli, the attorney and founder at Hodl Law. Fred had leaned in and mentioned that the closing of this investigation may not mean much. However, understanding ConsenSys submitted a letter on June 7th, shortly after their Ethereum ETF was shot down by the SEC. They advised that, hey, SEC, we're going to sue you on behalf of all the Ethereum holders worldwide based on your decisions here, because you're basically scrutinizing us when you let the Bitcoin ETF fly. Now, ConsenSys confirmed that in their lawsuit, they seek a declaration on the MetaMask swaps and staking so that they do not violate security laws. I believe ultimately at the end of the day, they're pulling a page out of the XRP community's playbook, understanding that we had attorney John Deaton, the White Knight, and also soon to be the senator of Massachusetts. I think they're pulling a page out of that playbook. But hey, you know what? A rising tide raises all ships, and we're all in this together. So why not? But we have to really think about, why did the SEC choose to go down this path, and why did they all of a sudden drop this case with ConsenSys? And I believe it's one word: money. In the private markets, companies like ConsenSys, Circle, and companies like Ripple, they stick out like sore thumbs. You got to remember who we're dealing with here, ladies and gentlemen. These are companies that can essentially print money, and there is money to be made, whether it's negative or positive. And a little birdie told me that ConsenSys is making $400 million in profit a quarter. And these numbers are potentially sandbagged. Why, you ask? Maybe because ConsenSys wants to continue to fly under the radar. Or maybe they can't legally yet report these new and emerging ways of generating revenues because regulations aren't put in place. So we just got to bite our tongue and see what happens when these micro rules or regulations are rolled out of the EU on June 30th. And yes, this may be a private company. ConsenSys may be a private company, but we're still talking about a fintech company, a company that's transforming the finance sector. And these players specifically are working with incumbents if they're smart. And I know that these guys are smart because Joseph Lubin, the founder of ConsenSys, is a former VP of Goldman Sachs, and obviously he's got a Princeton pedigree. And we also know who else went to who was a Goldman Sachs part of the alumni. We've got the SEC chair, current SEC chair Gary Gensler, Mike Novogratz, and potentially many other Goldman Sachs alumni who run the world. But I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds on this narrative. If any of you out there have any insights on potential Goldman Sachs alumni that you think rule the world, let me know in the comments below. But regardless, I just want to, we gotta remember, many of these companies are either, many of the heads of these people or heads of these companies are either related to somebody that worked at Goldman Sachs or potentially coming from an Ivy League university like Wharton or something of the sort. So keep an eye on that. Up on screen here is the Ripple profile on Link2's platform, and I want to put some things in perspective. Friendly reminder: I'm no longer affiliated with Link2. I may be a shareholder, but I'm no longer an employee. But I want to put things in perspective. Think about the rental car company Enterprise, which has a $35 billion valuation today. They're global. I mean, you show up at an airport, their services are nearly at every airport worldwide. And you got to think, if they're generating $35 billion and they're global, and according to Link2's platform here, as of January 2024, the recent Ripple buyback, that put their valuation at $11.3 billion. And this is a company that's still a fledgling private company where only 1% of 1% of the people or the population know about XRP and Ripple. And if they do, it's more than likely because they've heard about this SEC versus Ripple lawsuit, which paints a negative narrative and more than likely deters people from engaging in this new ecosystem or affiliating themselves with this company. And you got to think this information was shared with me by a private source. No way in affiliation with Link2 whatsoever. In 2023, Ripple brought home $11 billion in gross receipts or gross revenue. And of that, $7.4 billion or 68% came from only 3 entities, generating $1.8 billion in revenue. Now you got to think, who is Ripple doing business with? Oh yeah, financial institutions, aka banks. So you got to think about 3 banks generated $1.8 billion in revenue, 68% of their profits in 2023. What about the other 500 other banks that they're working with? In 2022, $9.4 billion came from only 2 entities, 2 banks. So we know Ripple is way ahead of the game. And we haven't even yet seen the whole big picture for them. And what I mean by that is they're not even yet counting the revenues for the XRP that they're lending. So once MiCA regs are rolled out or micro regs are rolled out on June 30th, I believe it's game on for them and other market participants. And once regulations are complete, they'll have revenues coming from everywhere, from the lending of XRP, from facilitating cross-border payments, and from the other companies that they're investing in, which I want you to keep an eye on Ashton Kutcher's VC Sound Ventures company, which is, as this title states, supports Ripple for good. I believe Sound Ventures is essentially an extension of Ripple Labs. This is one of the many unique ways large conglomerates navigate the markets right in our faces. Who remembers the clip where Ashton Kutcher gifted $4 million in XRP on behalf of Ripple to Ellen DeGeneres on her own show? I do, and I'm going to play this clip for those that are new to this industry, new to Ripple. Just as for those that are not new in this arena, I hope this just takes you down memory lane.
Just for those of you who don't know, Guy is a very close friend of mine who just happens to manage Madonna and U2 and Amy Schumer and everybody in the world. And cool guy, great guy, smart guy, and they're business partners.
He's got a side gig working with me.
Yes, yes.
Right? And so we do this thing called Sound Ventures. We invest in tech companies. And so we found this very interesting tech company called Ripple that we're going to invest in, right?
Okay, what is Ripple?
So Ripple is basically a platform to allow people to transfer money from bank account to bank account, person to person, really securely, really simply, really quickly. Okay. So we found this company. We thought it was really, really interesting. And it runs on this stuff called XRP, which is a cryptocurrency. But basically, it's just a way to get value from here to there. Okay. So we're meeting with these folks, and they're explaining to us the people who run it. This guy Chris Larson and the guy named Brad Garlinghouse, and they run it, and they're talking about the ethic of this company and this platform, and how they actually really care about being an ethical company and giving a portion of this platform away to people that are doing good in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So it was around the exact same time that I ran into you on the beach, and you told me about this amazing birthday gift that you got from Porsche, and you explained to me that if you weren't doing this, that what you would be working on is that project, right?
Yeah, I would be saving the gorillas, yes.
You would be saving the gorillas, and everybody knows about this thing. So, but you never ask anyone for anything ever. And you said, at some point, I'm going to need some help with this. And I said, you're asking me for help. You never ask anyone for help ever. And at the same time, you called him.
It was on your birthday. You called me on your birthday. I was like, wow, she's calling me on her birthday. Is everything okay? And you wanted to share with me this incredible story, the gift of a lifetime that Porsche gave you. And I promised you on that call that I'd be there to help you. And we are brothers, and we're here to help you.
And so we talked to Chris and Brad, and we said, there's this amazing human being. And all they ever do is think about other people they can give to. Whether it's in New Orleans, whether it's in Montecito, whether it's the people that come here, the people out there, you're always thinking about everyone else. And we wanted to show you that people are thinking about you. So, on behalf of Ripple, we'd like to give you $4 million. Now, usually people come out with a big giant check and do the big giant check thing, but we can actually transfer it into Rwandan francs right now, right here. And all we have to do is push this button and it's in your account. Do you want to push it? You want me to push it?
I would like to push it. I'd like to push it real good.
Powerful. Wait, let's see here.
Bingo.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I wanted you to see that transaction settle in seconds. We're talking about $4 million exchanged and settled in seconds. I think it's powerful, and a moving little clip there. You saw that obviously Ashton and Ellen were both a little emotional there. Kudos to you, Ashton. Thanks for everything that you're doing, sir. And if you're watching, please know that that 70s show was a staple of my youth. And please say hello to Will Valderrama for me. All throughout high school, my nickname was Fez. On the baseball field and in class, just good times. I appreciate you and the crew at that 70s show as well. But before we go, I do want to do a little Ripple recap as we wind down today's episode. Just people, don't forget that Ripple is a gold mine, and the days of waiting 5 to 10 years for a company like Ripple to IPO are absolutely over. Ripple is our Amazon, and by using our XRP, it's going to relieve $30 trillion in liquidity or volume related to cross-border deals. This is going to have, and this pun is intended, ripple effects and major social impacts for the world. And before you guys go, I do, as promised, want to announce the winner of my ARC Plate giveaway that I announced on Twitter. And since this has been such a great day and week, and since we had, or I had way more participants than expected, I'm going to announce 2 winners today. So thank you all for playing. Thanks for engaging in my community. Love you mucho. Let's have the spin. Torkid, awesome. I'll be sending you a direct message, and congrats on your new ARC Plate. And also, it was such a great memory of just meeting you at the airport on our way to the Ripple Proper Party last year. I'm glad that you won this, sir. I'm going to remove you here and give this another spin. Jerry Goodman, ARC Plate coming your way. I'll be sending you a direct message as well. Stand by. Thanks for playing all, and congratulations to those that won. I mean, you're all winners. We're all here We're all here early in the space. With that being said, please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, as it really helps me lift this channel off the ground. And if you have any questions for me and or anyone in my network, feel free to leave your questions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to get to them ASAP and in the orders which they were received. I appreciate every single one of you for stopping by and sharing your time with me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day and week. Love you mucho.